Sharp angle shot, save, rebounds loose, they score! Keeper Bellows goals in 4 straight games. What a goal for Oliver Wahlstrom, a highlight reel tally, cross-ice pass, Wotherspoon scores! Parker Wotherspoon ties the game. This is a production of the Bridgeport Sound Tigers, proud American Hockey League affiliate of the New York Islanders. Called for the return pass instead, it's Simon Holmstrom. He tracks, shoots, he scores! First in North America for Simon Holmstrom.
I'm head coach Brent Thompson, and this is Sound Tigers Hockey.
Well, it's Tuesday, and that means we've got another podcast for you. It's Sound Up for December the 1st of 2020. Boy, it's hard to believe it's already December, but the way this calendar year has gone, it's not a bad thing to get this over with and move on to 2021, which hopefully will be a little bit better. And on this edition of the Sound Up podcast, we've got Sound Tigers forward Jeff Kubiak joining us. He, like Seth Helgeson, re-signed a new deal with Bridgeport back in October, and so we'll talk to him about that and a whole lot more. A great conversation coming your way in just a few minutes. And again, right now for the Sound Tigers, things are quiet, certainly on the ice. It's at a standstill. The AHL hoping to get a new season going February the 5th, but for right now we wait. Things a little bit busier in the front office with planning taking place on some new promotional nights and some new ways to engage fans when we do reopen Webster Bank Arena and return home. And so, again, a little bit busier in the Sound Tigers front office. I tell you where it's really happening right now is over on Long Island in Elmont, New York. UBS Arena is taking shape. The pictures, the aerial shots are phenomenal of this new facility. And I actually got to go along with co-owner John Ledecky and a couple of our media members here in Connecticut a few weeks ago. Michael Fornabayo of the Connecticut Post and John Pearson with the WTNH News 8 came out, and we took a tour of the new UBS Arena. That place is going to be stunning. It already is. And you can see some of their coverage and some of the shots of the inside and what's being built there on either the Connecticut Post website or WTNH.com. And things coming along very nicely for that new facility that will open prior to the 2021-22 campaign for the New York Islanders. And speaking of the Islanders, some news last week, in this one kind of on a sad note, of course, Islanders defenseman Johnny Boychuk announcing that he will no longer be able to play due to an eye injury. Of course, he's suffered a couple of different injuries, bad ones over his career, and the most recent was last season. Just heartbreaking news for Johnny Boychuk, a guy who never played with the Sound Tigers but played 374 games in the AHL. Those contests with Hershey, Albany, Lowell, also Cleveland and Providence. He was actually named the league's best defenseman back in 2008-2009, and so our best wishes for Johnny Boychuk and his family and his post-playing career. But that's a guy who deserved to go out on his own terms, and unfortunately, Johnny Boychuk, with 2 years left on his Islanders contract, won't be able to play another game. We're thinking of him down here in Bridgeport. From an Islanders defenseman to Sound Tigers forward Jeff Kubiak, he's up next on the podcast. These podcasts have been so much fun. We've gotten to learn a lot about some guys who feel like you know a lot about, and then you get to talking and you uncover a whole bunch more. Started with Brent Thompson, went on to Seth Helgeson, Tanner Fritz, and now Jeff Kubiak for December the 1st of 2020. Jeff, thanks so much for joining us. Of course, we're coming off of American Thanksgiving last week. What's the tradition in the Kubiak household for Thanksgiving?
Well, thanks, Alan, for having me. It's good to talk to you. But yeah, so typically for our family Thanksgiving, we switch off actually every year with my mom's side of the family. Just it's one family, my aunt, my uncle, and my two cousins. So this year happened to be at their house, and so every year we just switch off. It was we kept our distance. It was fine. It was great. Yeah, it was a great time. We had some great food, as I'm sure you did. I mean, take a couple bites and you're already starting to get full. So, but yeah, it was a great Thanksgiving. I was excited to see everyone, and now we're looking forward till Christmas.
My measuring stick is if I'm not nauseous by the time I finish eating, then it wasn't a successful Thanksgiving. Is that the case in your household?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember we get to my aunt's house and you just smell all the food. It was pretty much ready. It was awesome. I was so excited. I didn't have to wait too long to eat. But you go around the servings and it's you're so excited to have your first bite, and after a couple bites, you're just like, wow, like I have way too much on my plate. But I feel like every year for me, after a couple minutes of some deep breaths, I'm ready for round two, and then you just open up again from there and you go after it again because it's just such a great meal.
Yeah, round two, round three, and so on, and obviously then you have the dessert later on. You eat a lot of food, you watch some football, it's always a great time. In our household, it was always like we had a wishbone competition. So you take the wishbone out of the turkey, and we always had, me or one of my brothers and my cousins would grab each of the ends and pull it, and whoever had the longest part of the wishbone was the winner. That was always our big tradition. Speaking of traditions, it sounds like you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Are you a Black Friday shopper?
Honestly, traditionally, I'm not. I don't like all the long lines. Normally, I've been so into going on Amazon and just kind of using it online. I think it's a little easier to navigate these days. You kind of know specifically what you're looking for, whether it be clothing or accessories, electronics, and you kind of can go from there. I do think it's pretty easy now to shop online. But yeah, the long lines, the cold temperatures for Black Friday just doesn't suit me real well.
I asked about Black Friday shopping because, when you're a hockey player, usually this is in the middle of the season. And, especially the last few years, we've had games on Black Friday. You don't get a lot of time to go out and shop because you have a job to do. And obviously it is a morning skate and then play a game that night. But this bizarre offseason continues. Obviously still no hockey. The American Hockey League's target date is currently February the 5th. Is this bizarre offseason, for a lack of a better term, getting any easier, or is it just getting harder?
I mean, honestly, for me, I think it's getting a little harder solely on the fact that, I think I just want to play hockey again. You continuously, you looking back, you got home in late March and you're like, okay, I feel like a lot of people I could speak for maybe some people like myself. I was like, trying to guesstimate the next month that, we'd be back, and obviously it just keeps going and going. So honestly, I'm just so excited to play again, and obviously hopefully that be sooner rather than later. But it does this long off season and time with family in a way does kind of let you sit back a little bit and enjoy some parts of your life that you don't typically have this time of year. Like you said, we're usually in the middle of the season. Thanksgiving just passed, everyone's a little just excited to keep playing hockey at this point. And so for me, yeah, it's going a little harder. You continuously do your training and skating as much as you can. But then at the end of the day, you're maximizing time with family, friends, and that's just kind of what I've been doing.
What is something about the hockey season that you really miss right now that you never thought in a million years you would actually miss?
I think it's just being in the room with the guys. You don't realize how often you're with someone during the hockey season, whether you live with some guys or, obviously you're at the rink every single day and you're going out to dinner and you're doing all these things that just, it's like, you're part of a team and part of a group that's just so fun to be around. So when I've been trying to text some of the guys as much as I can. Everyone's so, busy with their own lives, but it's you miss some of the guys, you miss the laughs, and obviously just going to compete every day too is always something you miss as well. But I do know that being in the locker room, joking around with the guys and stuff is just one thing you can't get unless you're there,
Yeah, that's pretty similar to what Tanner Fritz said last week. We had him on the podcast, and he brought that up. He also said the bus rides for him, he's missed a lot of time, even more so than most guys due to injury. And he said just being on the bus, it's not a lot of fun in the middle of the season driving from Bridgeport to, Hershey 4 hours, or even, Rochester, Toronto, those teams in Canada, they're so long. And when you're on the bus, you hate it. You hate every second of it. But then looking back, you're like, okay, this is something that I wish I could do right now. And it kind of puts things in perspective. And usually teammates is a common answer. What you brought up there, being around the guys, is a pretty common answer. Sound Tigers have a great group of guys, a very close-knit group. Aside from that, what else factored into your decision to re-sign with Bridgeport for another year?
Yeah, I mean, I really, I've been with Bridgeport the last few years now, and it's been a great relationship. Obviously, I really like, the town, the arena, the fans are exciting. obviously the coaching staff and players and staff from top to bottom. It's just like a welcoming family type feeling. And it's just, it was obviously an honor to resign. And it's just, it's been a fun time the last few years coming into the pro hockey ranks with Bridgeport and the Islanders organization. And, with an opportunity to keep that going, I thought, absolutely, I would love to do that and to keep it moving on. So, yeah, I think just like the family-oriented group, like you said, it's a great group of guys year in and year out for my last few 3 or 4 years, excuse me. So that was a huge factor. And I've been on the East Coast for 7-8 years now since I went to college, and it's just it's like Chicago. It's cold. The weather's the same. Bigger cities. Ish. So yeah, it's just comfortable. It's a comfortability that is nice as well.
Something you don't think about, and I agree. I'm from similar area as you. The weather itself is pretty similar. It's pretty spot on. The difference is kind of the density and the amount of people. But there are a lot of similarities. And for you, coming up on third full season in Bridgeport, fourth year overall, time goes so fast. I remember when you made your AHL debut. Do you have any favorite games in there that you've played with the Sound Tigers?
Yeah, I think one that sticks out was not this past season that just ended, but the season before. I remember we were playing. It was late March or in that playoff push, and we played Charlotte back-to-back nights, and it was like a Wednesday, Saturday, something. I have a pretty good memory, by the way, Alan. So this is good that you asked me this. But I think we didn't play too well the first game on like a Wednesday, and everyone just kind of was ready to respond. Luckily, we played the same team on Saturday at home, and it was just one of the funnest games. I think we won 2-1. It was a crazy game. Had that playoff type feel already, and it was late March. And I just remember it was just a really fun game. I remember the crowd was awesome, and it was just such a recovery from the game during the week beforehand. So that game sticks out. I think my first pro game. Oh, I guess my first pro game actually sticks out too. Now I think about it, we played in Charlotte, and there was no fans, 0 fans because of a little snow. Snow in Charlotte, which I guess they don't see often. So 2 inches in Charlotte is probably comparable to about 25 in Chicago or New York. So I guess they canceled all the, shut down the roads. They didn't allow any of the fans in the game. And I remember just I was like, wow, I'm going to play my first game here tonight with no one in the building but, the refs and the team. So it was pretty weird. And I hope that, I guess some teams are doing that now. It's a weird foreshadow, but hopefully we get back to some fans soon as well.
That's funny. You do have a great memory. I remember that game very well. Playing in Charlotte, they shut almost the whole city down. We still played the game, and I just remember all of the talk about the NHL returning in the bubble and doing it with no fans, and all major sports trying to maybe potentially do games with no fans, and Sound Tiger staff, we're sitting here like, okay, we've gone through that not once but twice, because there was also a morning game in Hartford. It was one of their school day games, and it snowed, and they ended up having snow days in Hartford and canceling, all the schools canceled, so we ended up still playing the game in front of 25 people. So
I do remember that Hartford game. Now that you think about it, too, I'm pretty sure it was that two seasons ago, and it just was a last second thing where it was too snowy, so they had to cancel the game. But I guess now, if you actually think about snow in school, these kids are in trouble because of a single word called Zoom. There ain't no more snow days coming. So it's funny. It's funny how all these things kind of work out.
These poor kids from now on, they will never know a snow day. They'll never have one again.
Ever. Thanks to Zoom and the internet.
Those are always the best days, waking up and for us watching TV, watching the little bar on the bottom of the screen with all the closings, and you hope your school is in there, and you hope you get to go back to bed or go sledding or whatever. Jeff, I was looking back through your stats in your career so far, and it wasn't that long ago you played 59 games with Worcester in the ECHL. As is the case with any hockey player, you're trying to elevate, you're trying to get to the NHL, and you were able to earn a full-time American Hockey League job, and I use the word earn because that's exactly what you did. Why do you think that was the case? What about your game got you to this level and helped you stick?
Well, I think, obviously the biggest thing is you want to play at the biggest, or excuse me, the best level, highest level. That's what all of us are here to do, and all of us on our team now, and every team I've played on in the past. You want to play in the NHL, and obviously the only way to do that is to work as hard as you can and take advantage of opportunities when they present themselves. I mean, nothing's handed in the sport, and pretty much in anything in life, you gotta work for what you can get. And I think one of my big things was after my season in Worcester, I got a taste of the AHL that season. When I played my first few games in the AHL, and you get called up and you play, and you're like, wow, like you can play at this level, but what's going to keep you at this level? And so I think going into my first off season after my first year pro was a big big motivation for me. I was self-motivated, and then put into perspective that what I had to change some things. I changed my entire workout schedule. I got a new trainer, which I've been with for 3 years, and I think that was a huge part of my game. My body I think my body still is, like, the way my body moves is kind of what has helped me in the last 4 years stay healthy, knock on wood, be able a little more flexible, be able to move a little bit better, and move my body in ways that I couldn't 4 years ago, and I can do it better now. And I think, being 4 years older too. So I think the biggest thing for me was making some changes that one, you get some what's the word? You get some from some talk from your coaches on what do you think you need to do, or this is what you do well, but if you can do some of these other things a little bit better, it's only going to give you more opportunity and a better chance for success. And so I always take coaches meetings, general manager meetings, whatever it is, to heart, because that's those are the people that make the decisions, and you don't make your own decisions in the sport. So it's been a lot of growth, a lot of change as well. If you got I really think about changing. If something's not working, you got to make a change, because obviously what you're doing isn't working. So that was a big reason for me making that switch to AHL, and I knew I can play at this level. And but then again, being in Worcester was an awesome experience for me too. That was my first taste of pro hockey. It got me used to a schedule going from 35 games in college to 70 in pro. And again, back to your body, like, that's a huge change. So, but yeah, a lot of ups and downs and growth along the way has kind of led me to where I am today.
That's really good stuff there. That's great advice, and it's very astute of you to mention, taking all of the coaches' meetings and the GM meetings to heart. That's that Cornell University degree working for you there. The smarts. We'll talk about that.
You got to put that to use somehow.
We're going to talk about Cornell coming up here on the second half of the podcast. And before we go to our stat of the week and our kind of trivia question of the week, we got to talk about, we just mentioned Worcester, kind of where you got your start. Just heartbreaking news in the ECHL that they're one of, right now as we speak today, 8 teams that won't be playing this upcoming season, opting out. And in fact, that entire North Division is out. Worcester, Maine, Adirondack, Brampton, Reading, Newfoundland, Atlanta, and Norfolk already opted out for the season. So that's tough, and I know a lot of really good people in Worcester who unfortunately won't be able to endure a season. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I mentioned in my last answer, I owe it to Worcester. I was first pro city I played in. Exactly, led me to where I am today, and there's some great people there in the organization. That was their first one when I started in Worcester. That was the first season of the Worcester Railers. So obviously they were starting to build their position in the community, and I know people in Worcester love hockey, as they had an AHL team and then lost it for a few years and then regained it with the Railers. But again, I think a little adversity is only going to make these teams in the ACHL stronger. You're gonna hope your fans can back you and continue to support them through ups and downs. Like that's a big thing too as a player. Like, you don't want fans only to be there when you win. You want them there when you lose too, and that's how you grow as well. So yeah, I really feel for those teams. Obviously, the players that we're looking forward to playing, with those teams this upcoming season. You just hope them well and hope they can find another spot to play. And it's sad, but things happen.
Yeah. And like you said, adversity isn't always a bad thing. A lot of times you can come back stronger. Fans hopefully can back that team. That's the case in every minor league level. The American Hockey League, you need fans to back it too. So, well said. We're going to step aside to give a little stat of the week and trivia question, and we'll be back with Jeff Kubiak after this.
Let me give you a little education, mister.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time.
Well, last week on the podcast, we asked you guys in our trivia question of the week, and it kind of revolved around this day in history. It was November the 18th of 2011. David Olstrom scored actually twice in a game against Connecticut. The team that was Connecticut Whale now is, of course, the Hartford Wolfpack. He had 2 goals in that game, and the question was, why was that significant? Why was that notable? The answer to that, David Olstrom extended his goal-scoring streak to 7 straight games. That's a Sound Tigers record. He did it with 2 goals against Connecticut on November the 18th of 2011. If you answered correctly and let us know on Facebook or Twitter, we'll send you a Sound Tigers prize pack. And congratulations. That's still a Sound Tigers record. David Olstrom with goals in 7 straight games. No one's been able to top it yet. Now we head into a new trivia question that David Olstrom noted, our stat of the week. And now our stat of the week next week revolves around this question. That is, of course, Jeff Kubiak's our guest this week, so we'll tie it into Jeff Kubiak. He wears number 36 for the Sound Tigers. The question is, how many different players have worn the number 36 with Bridgeport ever since the team began back in 2001? That was the inaugural season. How many guys since then have worn the number 36? If you know that answer, let us know, and you might win a Sound Tigers prize pack. We'll answer that next week for our stat of the week. But that's the question leading into next week's episode. And, of course, Jeff Kubiak wearing number 36 for the past couple of seasons. Jeff, do you have any idea what the magic number is?
Ooh. I mean, what did you say the inaugural season was?
2001.
19 years. I'm going to go with 5. I mean, I think 36 is an interesting number. I wouldn't have thought I was going to wear it, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to go with 5.
That's not your favorite number?
It's not my favorite number, but I've started to like it more and more as I've worn it.
Sure, absolutely. You've scored a few goals in the AHL in that jersey, and we're not going to tell you if you're right. We'll go ahead and wait a week for that. Now, if fans agree with you, they can submit that answer and hope they're correct for a prize pack. But that's the question of the week, and we'll let you know next week for our stat of the week. And again, back with Jeff Kubiak. And Jeff, it's funny. I feel like you're a pretty open guy. You're pretty transparent. You're pretty talkative in the locker room. But as I was preparing for this podcast, there was so much I didn't really know about you yet. I didn't know what to ask. And then that kind of led me to, you are kind of, even though you're not the quietest guy, you're very stealthy in how you go about things. Do you agree with that or no?
I don't know. I'd say maybe a little bit. Yeah, I think I definitely can pick and choose when I'm a little bit more vocal and and loud, like you said. I would say though, kind of away from the rink sometimes. I am a little bit quieter, and I do like keeping to myself. Whether it be at home sometimes and all that. But I do like when there's some energy around too. That I kind of pick and choose, like you said. I like both sides of it actually. So, but yeah, whether it be like tricks and jokes, I don't know about stealthy. I kind of sometimes will just go for it and just hope I get some laughs and stuff like that. But yeah I think being vocal and talkative around the room is just a lot of fun to me. And I'm pretty close with a lot of the guys, so there's always whether it's chirping Helgeson about the Vikings or other guys that like other sports teams. I'm a big Packers fan. I know it's unorthodox being from Chicago, and I get a bunch of jokes about it all the time as to how I'm a Packers fan being from Chicago. But it is what it is, and I love going after some of the guys because they're the Packers. And they're a good team and they're pretty consistent, so it's fun. I usually have some some baggage to work with the Packers.
A couple of things to unpack there. One is that's extremely unorthodox, weird, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you're from the Chicago suburbs, Tinley Park. Some say, the Chicago suburbs are the greatest region in the entire world, but I'm not going to debate that.
I'd say so.
I made a deal with Seth Helgeson on our second podcast this fall, where it was the Bears-Vikings game was that Monday night, and I felt pretty confident in it. Unfortunately, that was a bad idea and a bad feeling to have because he ended up winning that bet. So now this coming season, I've got to wear a Vikings jersey to practice one day.
It's funny you say that about Helge, just with a little juice on the Vikings and Bears game. Dating back to the start of last season, we've had, Packers Vikings, they play 2 times a year, like the Bears, same division. I'm 3 of my last 3 against Helge, Packers Vikings bets. He owes me, I think, 4 dinners.
Oh, wow.
I think it's 1 dinner, and then I asked him if he wanted to do something for this last game that happened a couple weeks ago, and he goes, he didn't want to because he didn't have much confidence in the Vikings because they haven't had that great of a season, and they ended up smoking the Packers a couple weeks ago. So I kind of got lucky. It's funny you had some bet with him too. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. We try to have fun on these podcasts, and one thing a lot of people do know about you is you went to Cornell University in New York for 4 seasons from 2013 to 2017, and 2 of those years kind of overlapped with Cole Bardreau, who Sound Tigers and Islanders fans have gotten to know pretty well, and he's back for another season coming up. I want to know, I want the dirt here. Go ahead and throw him right under the bus. What was that relationship like?
It was good. My class had a good relationship with Cole's class. They were 2 years old. They were juniors when my class was freshmen. We got along pretty well, class to class. Cole. He's energetic. He's loud. He loves some jabs here and there. So he did that same type of stuff to me and back in school. And he was always the energy in the room and still is today. So yeah, I mean. I think initially I was a little bit okay, is he ever gonna chill a bit? But then he just kind of came. You came to know that that wasn't him. So yeah. But we had a pretty good relationship at school. He was obviously a great leader and upperclassman for us. So it was good. And then obviously he come and played him a few times in pro against him and. After those college years, and you almost sometimes you think I didn't even go to school with him the way plays against you and stuff, but that's just how he is. And then it was awesome to see him come to the Islanders organization, and we lived last year. We lived together last year in Milford, so we kind of picked up that relationship from school a little bit. And yeah, he's a great guy, and it's awesome to have him on the squad.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those guys, and you are too, for that matter, a guy you want on your team versus playing against him. And I know you played against Cole many years after college when he was with Lehigh Valley and you were here in Bridgeport. Cole's big story last year was after all of the career he's gone through, all the injuries he's sustained, a culmination of every hardship that he's gone through. He ended up making his NHL debut. He scored a goal, obviously, on that penalty shot against Ottawa. I mean, for you, you're a guy who's like a Tanner Fritz who was on the podcast last week trying to work his way from the ECHL to the AHL and eventually get that shot in the NHL. Does watching a guy like Cole give you any more of a confidence boost that, that is realistic one day?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, you cheer for your teammates like that to get a chance. And, like you said about Cole, he's had some adversity along the way that, has been unfortunate sometimes, but he look at what he's bounced back from it in a great way. He got his first NHL goal, so I couldn't have been happier for him when it happened. You could just see the excitement on his face when he saw it went in the net, and that's something that you right away you start picturing yourself. You start thinking about it you play with these guys, so you obviously you're right there, right? So. Use that as inspiration, use that as motivation as well. It's I want to be in that spot. I want to be in those shoes. So, yeah, awesome moment for him. It was great to see, and yeah, obviously you dream of those things, and that's just another itch, another thing that makes you want to get there.
Talking with Jeff Kubiak on the Sound Up podcast this week, December the 1st of 2020. Hard to believe it's already December, but happy to get this, calendar year over with and move on to 2021 with everything that's talking about adversity, everything that's gone on this year. Jeff, to finish up this podcast, and again, thank you so much for joining us. This is actually my favorite part of the whole show because this is where I stop asking my questions and I turn it over to the fans and they get to ask theirs. So we've got 3 questions submitted by fans here in Connecticut, and we're going to start with Brandon in Milford, who submitted a question earlier today, actually. And he wants to know regarding your pregame meals for home games. Do you have a favorite spot locally that you go to? Maybe not religiously, but you tend to go to a lot for a pregame meal here in the Bridgeport area.
Yeah, actually, for like a night game, like a Friday, Saturday night game, I usually will cook actually at home. I do chicken breast, sweet potatoes, and avocado, which I kind of switched. I switched from pasta like real early in the season and switched to sweet potato. Felt like it helped me a little bit better from an energy standpoint. And then if it's a Sunday game, I do like a 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock. I do the Milford Diner, which is, I know it's a known restaurant here in Milford. It's really good, and I usually do one big meal there because of the awkward timing of the game. So I do some eggs and some bacon, maybe some pancakes if I'm feeling a little crazy. But yeah, so those are my 2 different like options based on times of the games.
Yeah, don't get me started on diners. I love diners. I'd eat at a hole-in-the-wall diner 5 days a week if I could.
Oh, I feel like especially on the East Coast too, I feel like it's diners everywhere. So I just love trying them all out because they're all so good.
Yeah, 100%. Agree with you on that. We'll move on to Haley in Stratford, Connecticut, so just right up the road here. And she wants to know that when you finally get to return to Webster Bank Arena and you finally get to go into the locker room again, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Wow, that's a great question. I don't know. I might just go sit in the stall and just like be so happy I'm back. Honestly, just be like, wow, it's great to be back. That or the sauna probably.
There you go. Both great answers. Finally, Jeff, we got our final question in the mailbag segment here. It's from Len in Trumbull, and this is interesting. I'm going to start off by asking a kind of preface it with another question. You're from the Chicago suburbs. Were you a Blackhawks fan growing up?
Unfortunately, no. Even though my whole family was, I started liking the Red Wings because my favorite player at the time was Sergei Fedorov, number 91, and I wore like number 91 when I was a kid just because I don't even know how I started to like him and the Red Wings. I just did, and so I started liking the Red Wings, and then when Pavel Datsyuk came around, he actually ended up being my next like favorite player, and still is my favorite player now. But so I just always was a Red Wings fan. That was kind of like a personal choice as opposed to Packers. Being a Packers fan, that was more of like a family thing. So yeah.
Sure. Okay, so from Chicago, but you support Green Bay and Detroit. Got it. That makes sense.
Very weird. I know. I'll battle it though to the end with people. It's just how it is. I don't even know why. Yeah.
So that was my question because it leads into this one. So Len in Trumbull, Connecticut wants to know, even though you weren't a Blackhawks fan growing up, I'm sure you followed them. You knew who was on the team and everything. Andrew Ladd was a part of that run where they won 3 Stanley Cups in a short amount of time. So I'm sure you got to watch him on the Blackhawks during that run. What was it like then having him as a teammate this past season, a guy who's been around for so long, a captain in the NHL for a lot of time, and a guy who, again, is a big part of that Blackhawks run where they won the Stanley Cup in 2010, and obviously they won a couple more after that?
Yeah, I mean it's honestly like pretty surreal. It's huge too from like being a teammate of him standpoint. Like you can ask him questions. He's a leader. He's been through the trenches, if you will, when it comes to winning a Stanley Cup in the NHL. Like that experience alone just is worth so much to any player, especially the younger guys coming into pro hockey. Like when he talks to you, he pulls you aside on the ice in practice. It's just you listen to him because it's just what you would you want to learn from a guy like that. And he's a great guy. He's awesome in the locker room, awesome in the bus, play cards, cracks jokes. Like it's he's just a great teammate, and great leader. And yeah, like I said, it's just huge from an experience standpoint and like a teaching standpoint. He's someone you just go to if you have some questions because he probably has the answer.
Jeff, thanks again for doing this. Great stuff. I hope I get to see you in person sooner rather than later, but in the meantime, it was great to catch up with you.
Yeah, thanks, Al. Thanks for having me. It was a blast.